The other part that I think is really important for people to realize, and I know this is semi-crazy to say this, because we just watched the three greatest players that ever lived over.
At just 19 years old, she stood before a room packed with cameras, microphones, and journalists who already knew exactly what question was about to come. It was the kind of pressure that has shaken even the most experienced athletes. Yet she remained completely calm, sitting there without moving, before delivering 15 words that left the entire tennis world stunned. And that is exactly where we begin today, because what happened in Austria this week was much more than just a viral moment. It was more than just a statement. It was a powerful response from a young woman who had spent years being underestimated, ignored, and now publicly criticized by one of the most respected voices in tennis history. Yet she answered all of it with a calm, powerful confidence that cannot simply be manufactured. Let me walk you through the entire story, because what really happened is far more interesting than the short clip you may have already seen on your feed. The Upper Austria Ladies Linz tournament is certainly not some minor warm-up event. It is a WTA 500-level tournament, one of the more respected events on the European tennis calendar. And this year, the tournament was marking its 35th anniversary. The organizers had gone all in, turning a design center right in the heart of the city, a building that normally has nothing to do with tennis, into a spectacular indoor clay court arena. They spent 5 full days building those courts from the ground up. The finished result was truly impressive. It created a fast and challenging clay surface that punishes hesitation and rewards players who have genuinely put in the work. It was the kind of court that could reveal almost everything about a player within the opening 3 games. Alex stepped onto that court and immediately looked like she belonged there. She had been sharpening her clay court game at the Rafa Nadal Academy, putting in serious work on her footwork, movement, and the technique of sliding into ground strokes with confidence and control. When she spoke with the media before her opening match, there was a clear sense of excitement in her. It was not nervousness or an act for the cameras, but genuine hunger to compete. She spoke about embracing the challenge of playing on clay at this level, the work she had been doing behind the scenes, and how badly she wanted to prove what she had been building. Then she stepped onto the court against Julia Grabher, and she showed exactly what she had been working toward. Grabher is an experienced professional who knows clay very well. She understands how to build long rallies, move her opponent around the court, wear them down, and use the surface to take away their pace. She arrived with a clear game plan. But Alex arrived with serious weapons of her own. Her forehand was packed with heavy topspin, producing deep shots that bounced high and pushed her opponent backward, forcing her to play outside her comfort zone. Her serve, which had become a real weapon over the past several months, was finding the corners with impressive consistency, making it look almost effortless. And her movement, an area critics had questioned in the past, was now sharp, controlled, and purposeful. She was sliding, recovering quickly, and staying aggressive, never allowing Grabher a chance to settle or breathe. The crowd inside the transformed design center remained electric from start to finish. You have to realize that Alex does not simply bring supporters to tournaments. She brings an entire energy with her. Filipino flags filled the stands, along with banners and signs. Some fans had traveled across continents just to share the same building with the player they proudly consider their national treasure. Every winner Alex hit was met with a roar that seemed far too loud for a venue of that size. And she took in every bit of that noise and used it as motivation. She won the match in convincing fashion. She left the court with her fist raised, acknowledged the crowd, blew a kiss toward her supporters, and looked every bit like the elite player she is quickly becoming. It should have been nothing but a moment of celebration. A young player from the Philippines, representing a country that has never produced a professional tennis player at her level, calmly and confidently making her presence known as a genuine force at a major European clay event. It was a story of sacrifice, being far from home, and holding on to a dream that many people believed was simply too ambitious. Instead, something completely different happened, because John McEnroe had apparently been watching, and he decided to speak up. Now, McEnroe's reputation needs very little introduction. 7 Grand Slam titles, along with a playing career known for both extraordinary talent and intense volatility. His commentary career has been built around the belief that speaking honestly and without a filter is a way of showing respect for the sport. At times, that approach brings valuable insight. At other times, it creates moments like this. What he said, and the main points of his comments have been widely discussed and reported by multiple outlets, was a direct challenge to the growing attention around Alex. He questioned whether her rising profile was being fueled more by smart marketing and an extremely passionate fan base than by proven Grand Slam level achievements. He questioned whether her physical strength and conditioning were truly ready for the demands of competing at the highest level over time. Then he moved toward something much harder to measure, but potentially even more damaging in sports commentary. He questioned her killer instinct. That phrase is often used against young players, especially those coming from countries outside the traditional tennis powers, suggesting that no matter how hard you work or how much you accomplish, there is still something important inside you that you simply do not have. It is the kind of criticism that cannot easily be answered with statistics or match results, because it is based almost entirely on feelings, opinions, and perception. T is criticism disguised as expert analysis. The tennis world responded almost instantly. Social media quickly exploded with reactions. Fans in the Philippines and throughout Asia were outraged. Within an hour, the hashtag supporting Alex was trending across several platforms. Former players, reporters, and commentators also joined the discussion. Many were shocked that a 19-year-old player was being singled out while she was enjoying the most successful clay court week of her professional career. But there is something important about this particular kind of criticism. The only real way to answer that kind of criticism is not with an argument. It is with a moment. And Alex gave them exactly that. She entered the press conference and immediately, everyone in the room seemed to sense the tension in the air. There is a certain silence that takes over when everyone knows an important question is about to be asked, but nobody knows exactly where it will lead. She sat down. She answered the simple questions about the match with care, explained her strategy, praised the tournament, thanked her supporters, and then a journalist asked her directly about McEnroe's comments. The room suddenly fell silent. 2 seconds of silence somehow felt much longer. She did not look away. She did not reach for her water or make a dramatic pause to gather her thoughts. Instead, she leaned slightly forward, looked directly at the reporter, and calmly said, "I play for my country and my fans, not for the approval of past legends." 15 words. That was the entire response. And those 15 words challenged the argument against her more effectively than any ranking improvement or tournament win could have done by itself. There were no insults, no anger, and no obvious frustration. She was not trying to win an argument or create a viral moment. She simply made it clear why she plays, who she represents, and what motivates her each morning to face the intense physical and mental demands of professional tennis at the highest level. She was not looking for McEnroe's approval. She never had been. She has millions of people back home watch every match she plays, celebrate her victories, and feel a real personal connection to her journey. Those are the people she feels responsible to. And no criticism from a man whose professional career ended before she was even born could weaken that foundation. The clip spread across the internet at incredible speed. Within just a few hours, millions of people had watched it. Athletes from entirely different sports began sharing the moment. Celebrities also started commenting. People who had never watched a single WTA match before were suddenly interested in this 19-year-old player from the Philippines, what she had said, and the calm way she had said it. Because there is something incredibly powerful about watching a young athlete face a respected critic and respond without anger, but with complete composure. It is one of the rarest sights in sports. Most athletes in that situation either fall back on careful diplomatic answers that say very little or react emotionally and accidentally make themselves the story instead of the original criticism. Alex managed to find a balance that very few people can achieve on their first attempt. She remained respectful without becoming passive. She was strong without becoming aggressive. She was simply and clearly herself. To understand why this moment carried so much weight, you have to know a little about the journey that brought her here. She left the Philippines as a teenager and moved to Spain, where she committed herself to the Rafa Nadal Academy, an environment that is demanding and far from easy. T is considered one of the toughest training environments in professional tennis. Built around hard work and no shortcuts, she has spent years dealing with the isolation of living thousands of miles away from home, while carrying the pressure of representing an entire nation before she had even reached the world's top 100. At the same time, she has faced a level of attention and pressure that most young players at her stage never have to deal with. She won the Junior Grand Slam title at the US Open and has continued moving up the WTA rankings with steady, focused determination. Every stage of her development has taken place in public, under constant attention, with a huge fan base watching, supporting, and taking every result personally. So when someone sits in a television studio and tells the world that a player who has faced that kind of journey, the distance from home, that pressure, and that relentless work lacks killer instinct, the claim becomes very difficult to take seriously. The contradiction is hard to ignore. It is also important to look back at something that happened earlier in the year at the Miami Open, because both moments reveal the same truth about the competitor Alex is becoming. She was facing veteran Laura Siegemund, a player with years of experience, strong tactical awareness, and the mental tools that come with competing at the highest level. During a key part of the match, a disagreement over time violations turned into a heated exchange between Alex and the chair umpire. Siegemund was doing what experienced players often do, using every possible advantage to pressure a younger opponent and make the situation uncomfortable and unsettled. Alex refused to back down. She defended her position firmly and without hesitation, refusing to let the opponent's experience or reputation intimidate her. At the time, some people viewed her reaction as overly emotional and felt she had allowed the situation to become bigger than it needed to be. But looking at that moment now, after what happened in Linz, it feels very different. That was not a weakness in her character. It was part of the strength she was developing, tested under real pressure and proving that it could hold. The WTA has clearly noticed what is happening around Alex, and tournament director Sandra Riel spoke with real excitement about having her in Linz, describing players like Alex as the future the sport needs. Those words are more than simple promotion. The growing commercial and cultural impact Alex brings to every city she visits is becoming harder to overlook. The attention she attracts, the new markets she helps reach, and the different audiences she brings into the sport all matter greatly to a tour that is constantly trying to expand beyond its traditional fan base. The Philippines is a huge country with a strong passion for sports, yet it has historically had limited involvement with professional tennis. Alex has become that link. The support and loyalty she has built among those fans is genuine and deeply personal. It cannot simply be bought. It has been earned through years of hard work that fans have followed closely and experienced on a personal level. Brands already recognize this. Interest in Alex from the business world is growing quickly, making the choice by established media figures to publicly downplay her not only unfair, but also harmful to the wider growth the sport is working toward. Looking ahead at the draw, there are some genuinely exciting potential matchups. Mira Andreeva, aggressive and technically precise, would give Alex a tough test of her movement on clay and her ability to handle powerful ground strokes under pressure. Badosa, one of the most naturally talented clay court players on tour, would create a very different tactical challenge,